Creators and their audiences are much more intelligent. People are so afraid to fail. I'm all about faking it till you make it.
Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Andrea Machicado and today I'm joined Sebastian Genta, co-founder of NextGen Creators. Thank you, Sebastian, so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So, Sebastian, through NextGen Creators, I know you've built a space that brings creators, brands, industry leaders through conversations, experiences, and you create a meaningful space that creates opportunities. So, tell us a bit more about NextGen Creators, what inspires you to create it, and what opportunity or gap did you recognize that made that you feel there's like an opportunity to build something like this.
Totally. I've been in the creator space for a few years now, and it's obviously always changing. It's always growing. And I think that South Florida specifically has really exploded the last few years as like a mecca center for all things creators and brands. And we recognize that there's so many brands showing up in Miami, in South Florida, but there's not really a community for creators, and not just creators, people, brand business owners and, marketing execs and whatnot, to kind of get together and learn, best tips and practices and support each other, honestly. And, that's really what we love to do, is connect creators and brands in one space, make new friendships, new networking opportunities, new brand deals, whatever that looks like. And I think we spend so much of our time on our phones, on the internet, that it's important to create those in real life experiences, because they're just more impactful for sure. And it's been fun. We've done 3 sold out workshops now. We're doing our 4th one in October, and we, partnered with multiple brands. And I think the beauty of Next Gen is that, there's so many different ways to be creative. Every type of creator can come: UGC, fashion, health and wellness, brand representatives. So it really is kind of like built for everybody.
Yes, that's awesome. As I mentioned, you built a community and you know the creator economy is growing. There are
Mm-hmm.
more creators, more content, more competition than ever before, and more here in Miami. So, in your perspective, how has the relationship between brands and creators evolved like over these last few years?
I mean, I think that, creators and their audiences are much more intelligent, so I think creators are looking to create more meaningful relationships with the brands and be more passionate about the brands that they're representing. So if you're a beauty creator, you want to be understanding of what ingredients this, said product has, and that they're aligned with your audience, because I think that's much more important than to just sell something online. And I think that while, yes, it is very saturated space, specifically in Miami, there's absolutely like room for everyone. We encourage next gen to not feel like a competition or anything like that. Instead, it's like a community, and there's room for everyone to kind of grow and be, authentic to whatever voice they're trying to share on, online. So yeah.
Yeah, I think authenticity is like super important now.
Totally.
Yeah. And that actually kind of connects to my next question, that it's in your experience working with creators, as a creator with creators and brands, what do you think it's like the biggest challenge using social media to build like these meaningful or authentic connections that make that you can take opportunities in the marketing industry?
The biggest challenge to grow a community online is the question.
Yeah, yeah. And what like that challenge, you can use it to have opportunities in the marketing industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you can understand how to build your brand, then you can understand how to build another product's brand. I just goes back to that word that's so overused, is authenticity. And, I think you have to find a balance with keeping up with trends and keeping up with things that are happening online, but also creating content that speaks to you and that speaks to your audiences. Because, like I mentioned earlier, viewers and consumers are much more intelligent than they were 10, 15 years ago. So if you're not being authentic to yourself, or doing things that you would do in real life, people can typically see through that. And the creators and the brands that are winning the most are the ones that are staying true to themselves and creating content that resonates with themselves. And it's also about trying things. Like, who cares? You need to throw something at the wall and see what sticks. There's so many times that my sister and I created content series that didn't work, and that's okay, because you just try again until something does work. So I think people are so afraid to fail publicly because you're posting online and you think people are watching you, and they are, but as long as that it really doesn't matter. So I think being okay with failing and consistency is what's going to allow you to be successful in the creator space and also the marketing space.
Yeah, and I don't think people know much about like what is behind the scenes behind the content, how do you feel, and being in the screen is different, like behind the scenes. So
It
yeah.
is. It's a lot. And I
Mhm.
tell people, like, if you want to be a creator, you need to let that go where you care what everyone is thinking about you. Because the reality is, someone is sending your video and talking badly about you if you're posting a lot online, someone you know. And that sucks, but that's just the world we live in. And the minute you kind of let that go and just say, I'm doing this for myself and for my genuine friends and for my audience that I'm trying to build, then you'll grow. You know what I mean? But you can't really concern yourself with everyone's opinions
Of
and,
course.
so.
Yeah. And as you talk about your experience creating content, what's a lesson that had the biggest impact, you can say, like in your career today?
I think like a year or two ago, I decided to genuinely, going back to the last answer, not care at all what anyone thought about me and just go for it. And I think that's when I saw the most growth, for sure. So I think just being myself 100%, and talking about my relationship and my family dynamic and my everything, like, again, that's not for everyone, but this is like what works for me, is just truly being true to yourself is really important. And I think that's when I've seen the most growth on social.
Yeah, that's so valuable. Just being yourself and enjoy like what are you doing? I love
Yeah.
that.
And also, if a content piece works, how can you do it again, right? And create, people love series, right? So if a content piece works for you, try to rework it to do it again. Like, my sister and I do like Miami videos, and that's like our thing. And then we like try to rework it to different types of that video. And that's like a ever growing series. So I think like analyzing your content to see what works and what doesn't, because if you're not analyzing it, then you're just, again, doing random stuff all the
Mhm.
time. So it's important to kind of understand what like is resonating with your audience.
Yeah, that's super important. Like knowing your audience and knowing what are you doing. Like it's not like planning your content, but knowing what you want to do with it. It's really important.
And I'm all about planning content.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my stuff that I post is super random and I just think of it on the spot, and that's fine. And sometimes that performs well, like an in the moment video or a photo or whatever. But a lot of stuff we do is pre prepared. Like, we're like, okay, this week we're going to shoot, things that are weird in Miami, but not weird everywhere else. And we'll write the script out and like, where are we going to shoot it? So I think it's important to have some sort of content schedule so that you have something to look forward to, something to do, and treat it just like you would any other job. And that goes the same for if you're running socials for a business, right? Like a restaurant or a product or a fashion line or whatever it is, like you need to plan ahead. And let's say there is a trending sound, right, that everyone's doing. Like tomorrow, I have to do this sound because trends last like 72 hours,
Yeah.
right? So if you don't hop on it like right now, you miss the train. So I think a healthy mix of like being spontaneous and like something that feels authentic at the moment, but also being diligent enough to like strategize your content. So
Yeah. Yeah. Strategy is important in
it's
marketing.
super important. I think people think social is just like, oh, we're just going to do whatever. And sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's very strategic, specifically if you're building a brand.
Yeah, for sure. And I have a last question for you. Many students and young professionals are trying to figure out like where they want to go professionally, the direction their careers want to take. And as someone who, like, you are building a community, I know you have a good community and a beautiful community, and like for yourself and for next gen. So what advice you will give to who those like maybe still navigating this uncertainty with their careers?
I think that, you know what, trying a little bit of everything. I thought I would be much more successful at 21 years old, and that's not exactly what happened for me. I had to try different things out, internships, different types of jobs, different types of, whatever. And it wasn't until I turned 30 that I really found like my groove and all the things. So I think it's like not comparing yourself to anybody else's journey, and everything looks beautiful and successful on social media. So just trying things out, trying things out until something feels right to you. And nothing is linear, right? Like, our success might look like, it just happened overnight, but it's always like a roller coaster of trying things and making mistakes and, meeting different people and putting yourself out there. So I just encourage anyone who's genuinely starting out their careers just to go for it. There's never a right time, right, to start something you want. Just do it. You're going to like learn along the way. I'm all about faking it till you make it. And at one point I'm like, I feel imposter syndrome all the time, but you just gotta believe in yourself and pretend like you know what you're talking about, and eventually you will.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the thing you said, like, you don't have to compare your journey with other one's journey. It's
Oh,
mhm. And
yeah.
that's a great reminder that you can still figure things out in your journey and not have like everything planned, but try new things and yeah, that just follow you.
Totally. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's such a your 20s out of college and stuff are such a exciting time, such a fun time, but they're also really hard, and I don't think
It
people
is.
prepare you for that because you're like, what exactly am I supposed to do? You're not a teenager anymore, but you're also not really an adult. Like you're
Mhm.
just figuring things out. So I just encourage everyone to like take a breath. It's not that serious. You're so young and you have all the time to like figure it out. So just like as long as you're being consistent in whatever it is your like goal, your goal is, like you're good.
Thank you. That's something that a lot of people need to hear.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you so much for taking time to be here and sharing your experiences, your knowledge, your perspective with us. I think you share a lot of valuable lessons in your journey, especially, as I said, for students, young professionals, and anyone interested in the creator economy that is nowadays super
No, yay.
important.
Thank you. Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
yeah, thank you so much.
And yeah, come to Next Gen in October. We hope to see you.
Of course.